Congressman Brokana's chief of staff wrote an article about bipartisanship. Let's take a look at the headline. I'm a Dem chief of staff and live with GOP leadership staffers. Bipartisanship is all around us, this opinion piece. And here are a couple of things he had to say in this op-ed. Democrats who care about accountability in government should support Republicans' calls for term limits for members of Congress, while Republicans should support measures offered by Democrats calling for term limits for Supreme Court justices. He goes on, Democrats who care about helping ordinary Americans build wealth and move up the economic ladder should make it easier for Americans to become accredited investors based on knowledge, not on net worth. While Republicans who extol the importance of family should be more open to supporting the child tax credit and parental leave. Again, Gio wrote this. He is the chief of staff for Representative Ro Khanna. And lastly, fostering relationships across the aisle and finding areas of agreement is essential if we're going to avoid absolute gridlock in the 118th Congress. So, I mean, Gio makes some very good points. I agree with all of those points. Bipartisanship is important. It is a good and beautiful thing if it does not kill the working class people of this country. If it doesn't force them to make the sacrifice, the working day people of this country. So there has to be a line drawn though at some point on bipartisanship. If it hurts working class people, then we don't need it. It is really time out for the corporatist wings of both of these parties to continue to get their way time and time again off the backs and the necks of the working class people. Now, I served in the Ohio Senate. I certainly understand what bipartisanship means, what it is. I had opportunities to work in bipartisan ways with my colleagues, particularly the governor of the great state of Ohio, Governor John Kasich, who in most cases we agreed on absolutely nothing and fought the good fight. But when young Tamir Rice, an African-American little boy, was killed on a playground here in the city of Cleveland, I was able to talk to the governor about the pain and the hurt of the people of this city, particularly black mamas and black daddies who are sick of seeing their babies hurt in this way. And you know what? The governor didn't say, well, Senator Turner, you are one of them progressives, so I can't deal with you. No, he said, come on, let's have the conversation, and we did. And from that, a task force was formed, the Community and Police Task Force for Community, Task Force on Community and Police Relations, made up of a whole bunch of people from all walks of life who probably did not agree with much. But what we did know is that in that moment with so much hurt, the voices of the people needed to be heard, and it was time out for playing games about who's a Republican, who's a Democrat. So in some cases, bipartisanship can yield some good results, but it should never be at the expense of the workaday people of this nation. And unfortunately, in that Congress, when we hear the word bipartisanship, it often means that the people who have to make the sacrifice are not the corporate class. It is usually the big mamas and the big papas in these hoods all over this country where they are misunderstood, whether the hood is rural, urban, or suburban. Those are usually the people who will have to sacrifice. So we're gonna keep our eye on this bipartisanship and see who will be the winners and who will be the losers. And I love how you brought up the point that when President Barack Obama won, Leader Mitch McConnell made it very clear what their number one goal was to make him a one-term president. And they've been working that agenda, even though President Obama is not there, ever since. And President Biden was vice president then. So I don't know why he thinks he's dealing with a different set of people. Is he thinking that because he's in the president's chair and not President Obama? And if that is the case, that's something that makes me go, too. Because he watched them, he was side by side with that president while they did all manners of things. But now he thinks he's dealing with a new Democrat. Jordan, listen, I want some bipartisanship on behalf of the people to happen. I really do. Let's go ahead. You know what, Jordan, they care so much about the cost of living and inflation. Why don't they just go ahead in a bipartisan way increase the federal minimum wage? How about that? How about they restore the child tax credit? Jordan, there are many things that they can do in a bipartisan way. I'm all for it.
Absolutely. Canceling student debt. It would help millions of people in red states. It would help people all over the country. The only bipartisanship we have seen in recent years have been for corporate subsidies and to further enrich military contractors and expand the military budget. That's it. If they want bipartisanship, if Kevin McCarthy wants bipartisanship and bipartisan compromise, prove it. You have every opportunity to prove it. Work on something. They tried to block the infrastructure bill. They blocked Build Back Better. If you don't like it, propose alternate solutions. Don't completely try to gut the bill and then throw your hands up and say, well, we tried. No, you didn't.
There it is.
It's a totally disingenuous stance. So I'm curious to see how these meetings go and how this ongoing relationship goes, but I don't expect anything but the same from Kevin McCarthy and Republicans. They've had ample opportunity to show they'll be collaborators in a bipartisan way, and they have shown time and time again they have no real interest in doing that. They want to throw their hands up and whine and complain, and then when the next election comes around, just insist that Biden and the Democrats haven't done anything.
Well, there it is, Jordan. We will see. We will also see what the Democrats accept, because they had the 117th Congress. And they didn't do much with that power that they had at this time. So let's see what this bipartisanship looks like. We definitely gonna keep an eye on this and determine who will be the winners and the losers. So far, it is the workaday people of this nation.